Hello, marketing strategy students. It's Dr. Grayson. I hope you're doing well today on this gorgeous day here in St. George, Utah. You might be wondering why I'm giving you this video today, considering this is the very second to last week of classes. This is actually our final full week of classes. Next week, you're going to primarily be working on your case study, which you should have done by Sunday, and then your final reflection paper. But so I wanted, long time ago, if you think back, so long ago when we were together about 4 weeks ago, in our lecture class, we have been working all semester on a marketing simulation called MarkStrat. The reason I chose to do MarkStrat was to give you some real world taste into what it's like to be a marketer. And so this is a chance for me to sort of wrap that up, acknowledge the great work that you've done, and then also congratulate the winning team. But before I start, you may wonder why I have this beautiful bouquet in front of me. Mixing things up a little bit here. I was told this morning that I look like a hippie today. And I guess maybe I do, but I responded politely, not by choice. So as you can see, I'm evolving as well as a professor here in the virtual world, being in lockdown for several weeks. So let's get started here. As you know, this is the first time that I've taught marketing strategy. You were my guinea pigs, and I wanted to do something a little bit different other than just lecture. So I'm an active learning teacher. I like to make sure you get your hands dirty and you learn some stuff that you're going to use in the real world. So I found this simulation called MarkStrat that has been used in many, many universities, including a lot of really highly reputable MBA programs. So my goal with this experience was to get you some hands-on critical thinking skills that you would allow you to start seeing the marketing mix in action. So throughout the semester, we've dedicated a lot of time in class working as teams to walk through real business problems using MarkStrat. You've practiced analyzing data, you've developed strategies, you've executed on a lot of decisions. And for me, it was really fun to see your brains working and thinking and collaborating, and I understand there's a lot of information to sift through in this simulation. It's a lot of work, but it is the same, very similar to the work you're going to be doing as a strategist in a company as a marketer. I know, I do recognize there were some challenges. The software is a little clunky. Only one of you could be in at a time, which is one of the reasons why I had to abruptly stop it when we went into quarantine or going on to the remote format, because it was just too difficult for you to maneuver as teams when you weren't all together in the same rooms, considering only one person could have it open at a time. So I do understand that there were some frustrations. Anytime the first time you're the guinea pig at something, there will be. There was also a little bit of frustration getting back into the game. For those of you who maybe struggled with some of your results in the beginning, I felt your frustration as you were trying to catch up, and it just wasn't easy for you. So I get that, but you know what? That's all a part of learning. We weren't here to have winners and losers in this particular function. We were here to learn. So those are my comments. No, it wasn't perfect, but it was really fun to watch you learn and strategize and come up with some great ideas. So in the beginning, when we talked about MarkStrat and what you were going to accomplish, what I wanted you to understand was the elements of what it takes to be a strategic marketer. As I've mentioned many times, marketing drives strategy for organizations. Many of your CEOs come from the marketing function, but in the case of strategic marketing, it's really important that the marketing function has a seat at the table. So what we did with this particular simulation was we worked with very similar real products in a highly competitive market. You did segmentation. You got involved in research and development to decide whether you are going to change your products or introduce new products. You launched new products and you improved the ones you had. You interfaced with other areas of the organization, which is really critical, particularly in strategic and product marketing. You worked with productions and operations. You got a chance to understand each of the levers in the marketing mix, whether it's pricing or promotion or distribution channels. And then you were able to set priorities, ask for additional budget, and decide how you were going to form your commercial or your sales teams. And then finally, there was so much information to sift through and so many great pieces of marketing research that you could buy with your budget that you did that. So this is what I wanted to accomplish, for you to accomplish, is to understand some of the functions you'll be doing in your real world. So the overall objective for MarkStrat, at least the simulation itself, was the goal was to get share price index. So again, we were attempting to build on our Wall Street price. We wanted people to buy our stock. So the things that incorporated into the share price index was market share, sales growth, net contribution, cumulative net contribution, and research and development. So although this was a contest, you were competing against the other teams in the class, your goal was to learn what levers to pull and what happens if you make a decision, how that impacts the overall business. So the concept of this particular simulation was to analyze data, get the information you need in a variety of different ways and formats to create your strategy and make your decisions. So we started out by understanding the product attributes. So think about product marketing and the physical product itself. In your situation, this was a cosmetics product. So efficacy, meaning the utility of the product, does it say what it's supposed to say? Safety, the packaging, the look and feel, does it make people happy to use it? And how much does it cost? So these are all of the elements that you worked through as you thought about your product lines and your different brands within your categories. So the one thing that we did as we looked through this was we did some perception studies. You looked at what was important to consumers in particular segments. So you've got to look at a number of different marketing strategies that we use. Perception study is one of them, or a perception map, to know how closely your product is aligning to what the consumer believes it is or should do. So you spend a lot of time on that. As you can see, here's a snapshot of the market size in millions. We started off with about a 400 million market, and we grew that market up to 1.2 billion. So bravo to all of you. You can see in period, we had the clinites in the fourth period. Some of you started introducing a new category, which was the nutrites. And you can see that category started to grow as well, which was important because you can see that although we did continue to have growth in the original product category, it started to slow a little bit. So some of the things that you did was you did one of the very most important parts of marketing, and I know I stress this in all of my courses. You analyzed customer segments. So you needed to really understand each one of these 5 segments and who do you think you're going to target and what level of effort and resources you're going to put into each segment to be able to reach them and get them to buy their product. So as you know, the singles segment was really the segment that many of you focused on, and it was by far the most growing segment. So those of you who understood a good segmentation mix and you figured out exactly how to reach that single segment, you performed the best. Then we looked at distribution channels, and this is something that I think we don't spend as much time in undergraduate work as we should. But distribution channels, again, really is where do you deliver your product through? Are you going to deliver it direct to consumer, through a boutique, through a mass retailer? And when you think about this, as you've learned, is that the margins that you make are very different based on these different distribution channels. So you had to decide, am I willing to take less of a margin on my product and pay maybe a mass marketer, a mass retailer like a Walmart or a Target for more eyeballs? So many of you spent a lot of time in thinking through this, and the other thing that was really interesting about the distribution channels was not only the margin and how many people will actually look at your product or you will get that in front of them, but the segmentation and where your segments actually go to purchase their products. So that was really important. So then you also made a number of different tactical decisions every week, and that's including your marketing mix, your commercial team, how many people are you going to have calling out on your respective distribution partners, and how you're going to navigate shelf space and promotion within those stores. And then you used a lot of marketing research on that. So in addition to that, which seems like a ton, I mean, this is an enormous amount of work that you did. You looked at production planning, so you needed to forecast how much you were going to sell, and you needed to make sure that you had enough inventory, but not too much inventory, because we know those of you who produce too much inventory, you took a loss on that as well. But that was another important factor that you looked at was forecasting your sales and attempting to produce just enough inventory. You also worked on pricing, and pricing as it related to each of the segments that you were attempting to reach. And as you can see here from the average market price, we started out a little higher, and most of you went down a little bit in terms of the price. Some of that probably having to do with the size of the market increasing, others really understanding that segment and their willingness to pay. In addition to that, you created marketing budgets, promotional budgets. You looked at different types of research. What was important to customers and how you were going to position your product for your target audience. So some of you spent quite a lot of your budget on promotion, while others spent more on distribution channel. So the promotion element of this probably, at least from what I could hear in your conversations, was the most natural for you. Less so than maybe distribution channels or pricing. So it was interesting for me to see how much conversation went around promotion, and maybe I need to focus a little bit on the other areas. That said, the commercial team decisions. Now this again, if you remember, your commercial team is the size of your sales team that works with each of your distributors. And you also created a merchandising budget. So if you remember, merchandising is the point of sale information or the shelf space that you will have within each of your distribution partners. So for the majority of you kept this pretty stable. You tweaked it a little bit at the end. We had the Tiger team decide they were going to go all in on commercial at the very end. But for the most part, you kind of did slow and steady here. You also got an opportunity every week to see the result of your marketing mix and your decisions, your segmentation, your pricing, your promotion, your distribution channels. And you got to analyze your profit and loss statement, which is something that as marketers you will be doing probably weekly, definitely on a monthly basis. So this was good practice. So all that said, wow, I just remember seeing your faces looking through all these marketing research reports and the amount of data you needed to sift through and the amount of decisions you had to make was really overwhelming. And I get that. And you know, think about this as this was a pretty complicated simulation. It took a lot, you know, it was a lot of brain power to sift through all of those different reports and decide, you know, which research and development reports you were going to pay for. But overall, remember, this is a pretty high level class. And this is used in many MBA programs. So if you didn't come out on top, no worries. From the beginning, I told you this isn't a contest. This is the ability to learn. And what I really liked about this class is I saw some collaboration between teams taking place where people, one team would go over to another and say, you know what, you're doing really well. How'd you get that to work? And that was really super to see that there's a lot of collaboration going on. So our final results may or may not be a surprise to you. Congratulations to Team Natural Beauty, for the overall winner of we went 9 rounds, share price index of 61.48. They blew it out of the water. Great job. And you all did very well. I will say there was one team that was close to bankruptcy, but that was because they got to a point where they needed to go big or go home. I think that was what they said. So congratulations to Natalie, Laura, Kaylee, Chris, and Stephen, excuse me, on your fantastic win. And I just wanted to wrap by saying thank you to all of you for putting up with me and my first go around here at MarkStrat, and I hope you found it interesting and fun and challenging. We'll see if we do this again next semester. If I have a face-to-face class, I'll probably try it again. Trying to figure out maybe is there a way to do this online with the company. But that said, great job to everyone. I hope you're safe and you're well, and I will have one more message for you before I sign off for the semester. But work on your case studies, get your reflection paper in, and it's just been such a pleasure working with you on this. Take care.